An AI agent can work at launch but become unreliable as conditions change. This episode gives you a screenshot-ready post-launch regression loop. AI investigates change, people accept results, and high-consequence updates stop for takeover. In July 2026, OpenAI published Introducing OpenAI Presence. It connects production sessions, human escalations, quality signals, tests, and human approval as conditions change. The source describes a limited general availability OpenAI product and specific customer deployments. Its percentages are not universal agent outcomes. The loop in this episode is a source-backed synthesis, not an official OpenAI template. This video is packed with practical, high-value insights to help you get better at using AI. It's a longer one, so follow Tiny Agent and save it so you don't lose it. Start with the time gap teams often miss so you can see why passing pre-launch tests does not prove that an agent stays reliable weeks later. Before launch, a team usually checks answers, tool calls, policy compliance, and escalation against a fixed set of examples. Passing that set makes the agent look ready. Production is not a static exam. A product adds flows, policies change allowed actions, tools change their return shape, and users find new ways to ask an old question. Those changes may not produce a visible crash. The agent can sound fluent while using an outdated policy, or finish most of a task while routing one new edge case to the wrong team. An unchanged test suite can keep passing because it never contains the new condition. The danger is not only an agent that fails on day one. It is an agent that works under yesterday's conditions and quietly earns more trust than its current evidence supports. People define which changes require re-acceptance, product flows, policy rules, tool permissions, user language, and outcome metrics. AI can organize change signals, but it cannot decide which business deviation is acceptable. Chapter recap. First, pre-launch tests cover the conditions that existed then. Second, fluent output does not prove that policy and outcomes remain correct. Third, people define which changes trigger renewed acceptance. Next, combine production sessions, human escalations, and quality signals so you know what evidence should trigger a regression review. Production sessions show how users actually phrase a need, which action the agent chose, and where the task diverged. The final answer alone can hide tool selection and missing context. Human escalations show where the agent admitted uncertainty or where the user stopped trusting it. An escalation is not a failure bin. It is a high-value boundary example. Quality signals turn scattered cases into a trend. A falling completion rate for one intent, a sudden escalation shift, or repeated rework in one policy scenario deserves more attention than one isolated complaint. OpenAI describes one support channel deployment that handled 75% of inbound issues without human assistance and reduced human handoffs by 15 percentage points in 10 days. Those numbers belong only to that deployment. Preserve the sessions behind the number: input, action, escalation reason, and human resolution. A headline percentage is not acceptance. People set the observation window, sample floor, and escalation priority. AI clusters cases, finds repeated gaps, and connects them to possible product or policy changes. Chapter recap. First, sessions reveal real language and execution paths. Second, escalations are boundary examples, not failures to hide. Third, a trend must link back to sessions that people can verify. Now move from detecting a gap to preparing a fix so AI can investigate and propose an update without taking the decision away from people. Do not begin by rewriting the prompt. Build an evidence chain: affected sessions, timing, the policy in force, tool calls, the human conclusion, and the expected result. Then ask AI to cluster similar sessions into an explainable problem. A new refund rule may be missing from knowledge, or a request that should escalate may still look like routine question answering. Propose the smallest candidate update. It might add knowledge, revise policy, change an allowed action, add an escalation condition, or repair an evaluation example. Do not mix every change into one release. The source says Codex can investigate production signals and suggest updates while teams test and approve them. The boundary matters. AI produces an inspectable proposal and evidence. People decide whether it changes business intent. If a proposal cannot name the sessions it repairs and the old behavior it may affect, it should not advance. Improve everything is hard to verify and hard to roll back. Define takeover conditions as well. Payment, identity, irreversible action, legal policy, or broad access changes stay in draft and test environments until a person decides. Chapter recap. First, build an evidence chain for the gap. Second, have AI propose a small, explainable update. Third, people own business intent and high consequence boundaries. Next, put the candidate through testing and controlled rollout so fixing one gap does not silently break an older capability. Save a baseline containing old passing examples, the newly observed failures, human escalation boundaries, and mandatory policy checks. Without a baseline, improvement is impossible to identify. Run the baseline and candidate against the same evaluation set. Compare more than an average score. High consequence errors, false escalations, tool calls, and approval boundary violations all matter. The source uses pre-launch simulations and graders to check outcomes, policy, tools, and escalation. They automate repeatable acceptance, but people still calibrate the graders. One number is not a complete judgment. After a candidate passes, start with limited real traffic and check whether production sessions match the test. Controlled rollout is valuable because unexpected impact can be stopped, located, and reversed. The approval record should answer 4 questions: who approved, what was compared, how much impact was allowed, and which version restores service. Tests passed is not enough for the next review. AI can run comparisons, summarize differences, and watch rollout signals. People accept policy meaning, high consequence boundaries, and any expansion of real traffic. Chapter recap. First, preserve one baseline for old capability and new gaps. Second, compare outcomes, policy, tools, and escalation, not only an average. Third, limited rollout, human approval, and rollback belong together. Finally, complete the post-launch regression loop so you have a card to reuse whenever operating conditions change. Box 1 records change, which product, policy, tool, user expression, or target metric changed, and why it may alter a prior judgment. Box 2 records production sessions, the input, context, tool action, and outcome that reproduce the gap, not just a one-line complaint. Box 3 records human escalation, why the agent handed off, where trust broke, how the person resolved it, and which boundary carried high consequence. Box 4 records quality signals, the observation window, sample floor, and trend threshold, with every anomaly linked back to actual sessions. Box 5 records the test comparison, old passing examples, new failures, policy checks, and tool boundaries run against baseline and candidate. Box 6 records approval and rollout, the approver, allowed scope, monitoring window, stop condition, and rollback version. Expanding real traffic is a human decision. Screenshot this loop and reuse it whenever conditions change. Chapter recap. First, changes, sessions, and escalations locate the real gap. Second, quality signals and shared tests compare before and after. Third, people own approval, controlled rollout, and rollback. Connect all 6. AI investigates and proposes continuously. People define acceptance, take over, and approve change. To sum up, an AI agent can work at launch but become unreliable as conditions change. Reliability is not a one-time launch stamp. Conditions change, production evidence reveals new gaps, and an update can introduce a new side effect. AI organizes sessions, clusters anomalies, proposes small fixes, runs comparisons, and monitors signals. People own policy meaning, high consequence boundaries, final acceptance, approval, and rollback. Which part is missing from your current agent? Change records, production sessions, human escalations, test comparison, or approval and rollback? Tell me in the comments. Follow Tiny Agent. Tiny Agent helps you get better at using AI.